We are leveraging Web3 to break taboos around sexuality and to create a society where people are welcomed, where they have a safe space to talk about sex topics, but also about health topics around women's bodies.
Vanessa Schäfer is the founder of the Female Pleasure Society, a wellness brand dedicated to women's health and their pleasure. I found the story of Vanessa incredibly interesting because on one side she's selling physical products and on the other she's using NFTs as a way to manage and build her community and her brand, and also to break the taboo around women's sexuality. So please enjoy this very interesting conversation with Vanessa Schäfer. Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here.
And I'm so happy to have you. Believe it or not, you are the first woman on the show.
That has to change, but I'm honored.
Yeah, I don't know. Somehow women in this space, in the Web3 space, are not that many, and it's difficult to get a hold of them, let's say. So I'm very happy to finally have a female face on.
Yeah, we definitely need more women everywhere, but especially in the Web3 space, that's true.
So Vanessa, you are the female founder of a company called the Female Pleasure Society. We're going to talk more about your company as the episode progresses and talk about how are you using NFTs in the context of managing your community. But first question that I want to ask, and I'm really curious about, is why Female Pleasure Society? So why did you pick a niche that has to do with sexual pleasure, women's sexual pleasure to be specific?
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, Female Pleasure Society is a sexual wellness brand, and we have products for women, especially in the sexual pleasure and health sector. So, therefore, we are leveraging Web3 to break taboos around sexuality because there are many, many taboos, and to create a society where people are welcomed, where they have a safe space to talk about sex topics, but also about health topics around women's bodies, and to find education and content that is like right and real, because in Google everything is out there and half is not true. So therefore we really create a sexual pleasure society for women to feel safe, to have content, to have products, and to build a brand with our community. There are so few brands out there that targeting women's sexual pleasure, and it's a huge market. Women suffer from libido loss like their whole life, and there are different phases in women's stage of life that they're suffering from libido loss, for example. And I discovered this years ago, and I was like, okay, wow, why don't we talk about it? And why are there no products, nothing out there that helps women? And why is it still a taboo topic when people are going to Mars, you know? So that's why I chose to build a company that focuses on women's sexuality and create natural products for women to help them in their sexual life, but also to help them in their health life. That's why we created intimate care line as well for people or for women to have better products, which are natural, produced in Germany, and to create awareness around this topic, and to help women feel empowered. And we have sex all the time, but we don't like to talk about it. And why? It's a nice topic, you know? So
yeah, I wonder, why do you think it's 2023 and basically we have the freedom to do almost everything, to talk about everything, but still the topic of female sexuality is such a taboo?
yeah, I think it starts in education. I remember when I had my sexuality course, we learned how to do a condom on a cucumber, you know? So I don't know. I was also ashamed. We had to write something in a secret room on a letter, what we want to ask the teacher and stuff. And so it was not open. It was not, hey, I have a question around my sexuality. What should I do with my first time on having sex? And I think it's really education at home with your parents as well as in school. So it starts early. But I also believe that we are German, we are quite open. When I talk to United States people, they are more like ashamed to talk about this. I had also discussions with another NFT project to collaborate, and they were like, no, you're in the sexuality area. We don't want it to work with you because, yeah, you talk about sex and we have partners who doesn't like that. And I'm like, okay. So I think there's a huge shame around this topic and a huge taboo, and that's why no one likes to talk about it.
Yeah, at least you had some sort of sexual education in school. In mine, not even mentioned. Nothing at all. But I come from a very Catholic, I mean, I come from Italy. It's a very Catholic country. So even though we don't talk about sex, the image of woman, especially like on TV and in commercial, etc., is highly sexualized. So we have this taboo on one side of we don't talk about it, or like the example that you gave of this project that you have approached that refuses to collaborate with you because you have a certain niche that you're targeting. So on one side we have that, and on the other side we have the complete opposite, which is the extreme sexualization of the female figure.
Yeah, but we also see that we have a lot of obstacles to take. Like marketing is really hard because talking about sexuality is like not possible on Facebook or Instagram. So therefore it's difficult. And I can't believe how difficult it was 10 years ago when Amorelie, for example, launched. It must have been more difficult than ever. And we are also not allowed to show female nipples, Male nipples is totally fine, but female nipples are not. Like, they have to be censored. So those topics are or have to be addressed. And that's what we want to do with Female Pleasure Society.
So how does it work on social media, for example? If you post something related to sexuality or you talk about it, you get shadow banned or something?
Yeah, we experienced that like 9 months ago when our Twitter account was suspended, like randomly. I don't know why. I couldn't talk to anyone. I opened several tickets to get my Twitter account back. But I think it was because we posted a giveaway with vibrators on it. But that's just a guess. I don't know.
Okay.
And Twitter is actually more open than Instagram. And Instagram, you have to really be careful, especially also the writing sex. Sometimes I do like the E with the 3, so that's like not sex.
Yeah.
Because they have an AI behind it that reads the posts and see where you have to be really careful. And I know a lot of startups who are operating in the sexuality business or sexual wellness business, and they got Instagram banned like a lot. So it's really, really hard. But that doesn't stop us. And you have to start somewhere to find an equality, because it's not porn, or we don't like have naked pictures. We are just talking about sexual wellness and sexual health. And I think this is really important because every human being now lives on social media. So therefore, that's where the education is happening right now.
Yeah, it's like it's something to be ashamed of and to hide. But sexualizing the image of women instead is totally fine. So we cannot talk objectively about sex, but this we can do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fascinating. How did the idea of creating the Female Pleasure Society came about? And maybe you could tell us actually in specific, what's the product? What does it do?
So the idea started 1 year ago. I actually, or maybe a little bit before that, because I actually founded my first startup 3 years ago. We were focusing on supplements for women who suffer from hormonal imbalances. And that was also due to my personal story, because I stopped taking the pill and had that like a really lot of suffering with acne, mood swings. And that's when I started to take supplements, especially superfoods and vitamins. And I didn't find anything that was like not that medical or that you have to be ashamed to take. So therefore we created a care fuel. That's my first startup. And then we did a lot of research creating a new product and came across studies that focusing on women's sexuality and especially libido loss. And it's a huge topic, and a lot of people or a lot of women suffer from it, especially taking the pill or with a cycle or after giving birth and stuff. So it's really, really a big topic. So therefore, superfoods and vitamins can help. And that's when we created our natural pleasure elixir and did a funding round last year. And after we got funding, we sat down and discussed how we could leverage Web3 to create a new brand or a new kind of brand. So therefore, we have or are using NFTs as a way to get people access to our society. So it's like a digital membership access pass where you get the product, but not only product and early access and discounts, you also get voting rights. So we really want to make our community, give them power to make decisions about the society, about new products, about really important topics, because in the end, that's our customer, and the customer should decide on the new products and where the company will go. So we really want to kind of create a new brand, the future of brands, I would say.
Yeah, I will say this is kind of an interesting path that you've taken. I think it's already difficult to launch a supplement line. There are so many, so many. And yours, however, is quite unique because of the niche. Why adding this element of hey, let's throw in Web3 and let's create some NFTs there?
So we, all three of us, my co-founders and myself, are believing in Web3, and we think this is a kind of way how we can build better companies and the future of companies. So therefore, we call it decentralized brand building. So we use the NFTs to empower our community, or the NFT holders in the end, to build the Female Pleasure Society, in our case, with us together. So as I said, they're not only getting 5 years product allowances, they also get early access. They get content, which are they only like we create a token gated web shop, and where the people can access with their NFT to get like content around sexuality, but also voting rights. And those voting rights will be on chain, so that like there's no chicken out for us if we don't like the outcome. So we really want to give our holders ownership, which I believe is the best about the NFTs, ownership and transparency in terms of creating a pleasure society for our community. And that's what I really love about NFTs, and how brands can really build something bigger than just another D2C brand. And in the end, we will definitely open our web shop to the public, like to everyone, not only NFT holders, but you can buy a digital access pass that's like the NFT and can get access to another world of pleasure, I would say. So that's how we do it.
Oh, okay. Now I have so many questions, and I really want to go with you behind the scene. And if you're willing, we go a walkthrough of how you build everything, basically, your company, right? So, where did you start? Like, did you start with the physical product? Because you mentioned that you already were in the supplement area. So, did you start with that? Or did you start first with the NFT idea and then you went about and create the supplement line, etc.? So, let's start with that.
So first of all, I started with the idea of helping women during their hormonal imbalances with superfoods. That's how I started. When I had my hormonal imbalance, which I didn't know I had, but my roommate was a pharmacist and he was like, hey, Vanessa, maybe it's that. And I was reading a lot and I was like, okay, wow, this is it. What can I do? And he was like, hey, try supplements. And I was like, no, that's something my grandma takes. And he was like, no, try it. It's really helpful. And it was. And that's when the idea of Care Fuel, that was my first startup, came to life. And then that was actually back then I was at the management consulting firm and I said, okay, this is it. I have to quit my job and do this.
So, how did you arrive to that decision? I can quit my job and go full time into it.
Yeah, that was really tough, actually. On the other side, it wasn't tough because I was 2 years at the consulting firm and I was sure that I wanted to do something else because, yeah, management consulting is management consulting. So I was like, okay, now it's the time to do something else. But I was also applying for other jobs. And then I had the idea with Care Fuel and I was like, okay, maybe this is it. This is the sign of the universe. Maybe I should do it. And I was like, okay, let's do it for a year and see how it goes. And then I quit and then started the idea of Care Fuel. And I don't say that everything was like smoothly. It was like a roller coaster, like everything else. But in the end, I'm really, really happy. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here. So there was first the idea. Then we found a lot of producer, which we wanted to produce our supplements with. But then we also had to leverage because everything was bootstrapped. So we developed the products, then we went to market, and then we had to do a funding round because in the end it's like a really, really, really really challenging business and you have to have a lot of money. So we did a funding round last year, and that's when we had the idea for Female Pleasure Society. So it was a lot of pivoting in the end to be there where it is now. And I think we also pivot right now. So I think this is how businesses are built.
There is one picture that I have in my mind is you quitting your job and starting these. How did you start to pitch to manufacturing centers, for example, to produce the supplements? Because at the beginning, I imagine that like all manufacturer, they request minimum quantities. So how do you convince them to industrialize the production of a small brand that is just starting out, catering to a specific niche and so forth?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question and a funny one actually, because when we started, it was pills and capsules, and that was actually quite easy to find a producer in Germany who did our natural products, and that was easy in small packages. But then we decided to go for liquid because no one likes to swallow capsules. So therefore we developed a liquid form, which was also not easy because vitamins are normally powder and not every vitamin can be in a liquid form. So that was really hard. And then to find a producer who can do a liquid supplement is the worst. And then I think Cornelius, my co-founder, had the idea to go to Poland because he read an article that in Poland, the supplement area is like really big. And I was like, no, I don't want to go to Poland. And he was like, let's see and try to find out. And then it was really Googling. We Googled a lot of producer and went actually to Krakow to meet the new production company. And they were amazing. And that's when we decided to go with them because they did everything we could, especially in low quantity, because otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
So that's how we do it. And now we have, with the funding, we can move to Germany. But I was a little bit sad because I really loved our relationship with the Polish company. But in the end, now we are back in Germany and producing the supplements here.
How about the formulation? So, because that's one of the key elements of your brand, it's producing natural supplements with no artificial addictive or substances.
Yeah.
So how do you formulate such products, and who do you have to talk to unless you're a chemist yourself, but even then you need help, right? So who do you talk to
Yeah.
formulate this type of product? How do you come up with the formula?
So actually, I'm not a chemist. I studied psychology and management. So I read a lot. And actually, the idea of the recipe was my idea based on my readings. But then we have an awesome scientific advisor. She helped us a lot with all the recipes. And she did the formula. And then we went with the formula to our producer, who has also like a lot of expertise in that field. Of course, it's a producer, and they sourcing the ingredients and doing like the fine calculation of the recipe. So you have to have, I believe you have to have a good advisory board, which we do, luckily, and a good producer. Otherwise, it wouldn't be that way. And now we are also doing an intimate care line, like intimate care cream, wash lotion, and a lubricant. It's all natural as well, and it's also because our producer is amazing in beauty care products. So I think you have to have a good producer.
Okay. How do you know that you found the right producer or that you have the right advisory board?
You have to have a good advisory board in the end, and you have to have good products in the end. And therefore, we had a lot of testing the product by ourselves and sending it to friends and family. And then we said, okay, this is a good product. But in the end, it's like, it's a new product, especially with the supplement, our natural pleasure elixir. It's something that isn't out there. There are some capsules and pills for libido loss, but something like this isn't happening. So we are also in a patent process for our recipe, but also doing like some small studies by ourselves with our community, with our customers to see how it went and how many times you have to take it to find it. It's a new product. and therefore we really have to test it. But we are also sending it to a laboratory who looks at the recipe and see that everything is smoothly. So we are German, so therefore we check everything like triple,
Which is always comforting, especially when it comes to things that you have to ingest, right? So that's
Yeah.
always great to hear. And at what point, in this journey of manufacturing the products and, going through different labs, like between Poland and Germany, did the Web3, let's do an NFT kind of came to mind?
That actually came to mind 1 year ago. I think exactly 1 year ago, when we finished our funding round and found an amazing business angel. And we had the new product, our natural pleasure elixir, and we sat together in a room. I still remember. And we were like, hey, I bought this NFT. I don't know. I don't remember which one. And everyone was like, oh, wow, okay, cool. Yeah, but there's no utility behind it. and then we said, okay, wow, why there are so many NFT projects with no utility, with nothing behind it, with no business model. And you can use this technology for so many things and so amazing things. And we could use this technology. And then we brainstormed a lot and thought, okay, especially the sexuality topic and the taboo topic is amazing for a society where we can use the NFTs to bring more value to our holders, but also build a new brand or a new kind of brand. So that's actually how it went.
How did you went from this intuition, let's use it, for our company to build our community, to actual execution? So, for example, how many NFT did you decide to create? Who did you have to collaborate with for the creation of the collection?
So when we started in April last year, it was already a little bit of a bull market, but it was also not that worse than now. So everything was really going well, and we built a community, and we partnered with a lot of NFT projects to do some Twitter spaces, for example, and it was really good. And then the bear market happened, and we were like, okay, let's wait until we drop our NFTs, because everyone was a little bit scared to buy NFTs, and we were like, okay, we are building a business anyway, so therefore let's wait a little. And then we launched 500 NFTs in November together with crypto.com. And to be honest, that was a little bad timing, because 1 week before the whole world exploded with FTX scandal and stuff. I don't have to
No.
repeat it, I think. So therefore we did our drop with another crypto exchange, which was also not that good related to what happened the week before. So therefore it was really bad for us. We sold 100 NFTs in the end and decided to go broader, because we, as you said, we have a niche product, we have a niche target group in a niche market. So there are not many women in the Web3 space, especially women who maybe want to talk about their sexuality or know that there is a problem, or want to have like some pleasure society, for example. And therefore we pivoted again and said, okay, we are creating a brand, a decentralized brand with a digital access pass, which we will be selling on our web shop, but people won't see that it's an NFT. It will be an NFT in the back end, but in the front end, it's a digital access pass, like Starbucks does it with their membership card. And that's how we can broaden our target group to like everyone, basically, and can still use the technology, because we really believe in it, because ownership is so important, especially in new brands, new kind of ways. And we can not only leverage that for voting rights, but we can also have our community sell products, for example, or use the contribute to earn topic, which is really important, and we can do a lot of things like that. So that's how we want to pursue now, to really speak to as many people as possible, to go out there, to have many as people possible to buy our product, but also have like the membership token.
How would that work? How would the access pass be available for potential users, for potential buyers, without them realizing, oh, it's an NFT? So without maybe having to download a MetaMask wallet. I don't know which chain are you using for minting the NFT?
Right now it's Ethereum. So right now you can buy it on secondary because we have already minted. But this is like the OG Genesis pass where the people have to know that it's a wallet. But currently we are talking to amazing companies who set up like such solutions that people don't have to create a MetaMask or don't have to have a wallet, and that they can still buy a digital access pass and it's an NFT, but it's like in our area. And I think this is how companies are building, or how we should use the technology, because I don't know what's behind my email protocol or behind my phone, and I don't say, oh, now I go to web 2. So that's how we want to build the female pleasure society.
So if I am a holder of the digital pass or DOG digital pass, how do we build a brand together?
So we have to divide between OG Genesis NFTs and Digital Access Pass. So the OG Genesis NFTs, which were minted in November, have because they are the first believers, they have like a different utility. They get 5 years product allowances, early discounts, early access, and voting rights, and as well as a ownership participation, a success participation of our company, which we will set up soon. And if you buy the Digital Access Pass in the future on our website, you get also access to all those things, but only like one product and not 5 years product allowances. But you also get access to our, I call it now, I have to find a different word, but I call it now forum. So it's like a society page where you can enter with your NFT or with your digital access pass. And then you find a whole new world. It's like content, for example, blog posts, or we have a sexual advisor, Paula. She does like YouTube lives and she explains different topics. And this is all you get with your NFT. You only get it with the NFT, like the access to those recordings, or you can chat with community members, because now we use Discord, but we really want to move away from that, because I remember when I entered Discord, it was like, where should I go? What should I do? So that's why we really want to work on something. This is all included in our pleasure society. So yeah, so you have really access to this world, especially to the voting rights.
Yeah, speaking of power of community, how do you intend to leverage the community to build a company with you? Which type of decision will the community be voting on?
So we already did that actually. The community decided on the name of our product. Like before it was, I don't know, I don't remember. It was like pleasure supplement or something. And now it's like natural pleasure elixir. And that was like the vote from the community. They also voted for the packaging, the design of the label, and they voted, for example, for a charity which we will support. And in the future, we really want to do this, like again, with new products, for example, or new topics which which the community want to hear, where we talk about with Paula. And I think this can be like really broad and something that I don't have to decide. I want my customers, my community to decide those topics, because the products are for them. And therefore, I really like that. And especially the transparency aspect, because you can say, yeah, here are 3 things and please vote. But in the end, it can be our decision. But if it's on chain, we cannot chicken out.
For other startups that maybe are considering leveraging a community to build together, what are the tools and the best practices that you could advise?
Right now, we are doing it on Discord. So that's not like that technical. But we are discussing it with different solutions right now, a solutions provider, how we can really do it on chain. But we are like in discussions with them right now, because we really want to include this in our forum on our website as well, so that we have everything in one place, because this should be really easy for the customer or the community member, so that they don't have to have like different tools, and I have to be on Discord and Telegram and Twitter and Instagram, and maybe also on their website. Everything should be in one place.
What would be your advice for companies that are looking into Web3 and NFTs as a way to build a community, to manage a community? What are your lessons learned so far in this journey?
So I would say 12 to 18 months ago, it was really easy to build a community if you had a mass product, or if you had an idea that spoke to many people, and if you had like an NFT product idea which like for example, a beer product. You have a beer, 80% of the people in the Web3 are men and everyone likes beer, so this would go well. And for us, we learned that we are in a niche and in a niche market, and therefore it was really hard to build a community from the ground. That's why I would also always suggest right now it's better to have a running business and use the technology for something that solves a problem and not the other way around. Because I saw a lot of NFT projects fail because there was nothing behind it. And this is not the time for a hype or a speculation object or something because we're in the bear market. And that's why I always suggest build a business and then use the NFT technology to solve something, to solve a problem, and then go out there. Otherwise, or if you have like a digital art piece or something, then an NFT would make sense. But in our case, this is the way to go.
Yeah, my personal take on this space is that Web3 and in general blockchain technology do have very specific use case of application where they are really useful to solve a problem. Like one is when you have many players and you need a single source of truth that manage everything in a very transparent way. So we know finance, but also when it comes to regulation, when it comes to voting, for example, for election. So I see they're working really well. And of course, maybe like in companies where there are a lot of processes in place, supply chain, for example. So you have many supplier to coordinate all that part. And the community aspect, of course, which is the one that you mentioned. For all the rest, I'm still struggling to find the other aspect in which blockchain, the use of blockchain is not just a buzzword or a marketing stunt, but actually solves a real problem or really brings an added value.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I just speak to like NFT projects or speak about NFT projects, and I see that they are struggling right now if they don't have a business model. And that's what I really hope for the future, that maybe the term NFT is like gone and we use really the technology as we do with the digital access pass.
I'm very curious about how you intend to evolve the community and this relationship that you have with them. For example, what happens if you put something to vote and you don't necessarily agree with what the community has voted on?
That's too bad for you. Well, actually, I believe there was some decision I don't really liked. For example, the label. I was more for the pink one, and the community was like, "No, we like that one." And okay, then we take that one. It's like in the end, you have to decide: is it your ego or is it like the community? And in the end, you have to also as a founder, and especially as a founder, you have to step aside your ego and build products.
The way that you think about them, about your community, is it more like a group of customers that it's your internal alarm clock to vet specific product related things? Because the things that you mentioned are really related to design, the packaging, the labels, the name, to make products that are more appealing for your user base. Or do you intend to leverage your community as a shareholder of your project, meaning taking business decisions alongside you? For example, should we expand our line into male supplements? Or should we go beyond supplements and maybe create other type of products, merch? I don't know. But then like even more complex one, like should we do another fundraising? Or should we bootstrap? Like economic type of decisions, let's say.
Right now, our decision making process is more on the product side, but because we are early and we really want to build the first product for our community, and that's why we also said, okay, label, packaging, name, and stuff. But we already expanded our product palette into intimate care line, which we didn't ask our community, but they could decide on packaging and stuff. So right now it's more on the product side, as I said. But I personally think about my community as owners of the company, because they also get a success participation, which we are setting up right now. But in the future, I think it depends a little bit on how we structure our company in the future and how big we will be getting with the community aspect, and how many people really want to have such strong votings. Because I also see, because we were in discussions, do we create a DAO, or do we only use voting rights? And while we were going into a DAO, I really saw that some people don't like to take really big decisions. They like to say, yes, I like A more than B, but not, okay, I come up with a new idea. Does that make sense? So therefore, we decided to do only voting rights, to say, hey, we can act quick and fast and also include our community.
So I want to circle back to the conversation that we were having off camera. And we were talking about networking and going to Web3 events, crypto events. What is the secret of building a network in this space?
I believe talking to people and not being afraid to ask questions. Because when I started 1 year ago, I wasn't at all in the networking area of Web3 people. So I remember that I wanted to talk to a woman in Web3, and then I Googled in LinkedIn, or I Googled in LinkedIn, is that a word? You know what I mean? I typed Web3 NFTs and, I don't know, female in LinkedIn, and then there were 3 names in Germany. And then I wrote to one person, and she didn't reply. And then I met her in Lisbon, actually, and then we talked, and then how, like, I talked to many, many, many people, and then I started to grow my network. So I think I'm not that extrovert, actually. I really had to learn that. So you have to talk to many people. You have to find a way to network. And what we did, actually, is we had a special way of approaching conferences. We had like a tailor-made suit, which is a pink suit with vibrators on it and condoms and our logo. And this is how we went to conferences. And this is actually how you will get approached, So we didn't have to go anywhere. We were just standing there, and everyone was like, oh my God, can I take a picture of your suit and you? And I'm like, okay, yeah, of course. And then that's how you connect, And that was actually amazing. Now the suit is in our dresser, and we are more confident and serious. But that's how we started, actually. So we really want to do career marketing with the sex topic, and I think this also helps. So talking about sex is it's a sexy business,
So for everyone listening that wants to get into the Web3 space and network, etc., buy a pink suit.
Yeah, that maybe really helps. Yeah, because everything is dark and black and stuff. So yeah, that helps. But in all the unserious, you have to be open, and you have to get out there and go to events and meet people, and don't be afraid to ask questions, because I think the Web3 space is really, really open. Everyone really likes to get to know you, learn from you, and talk to you, because there are not that many people in there,
And this brings us actually to the end of the interview. Vanessa, thank you so much for being here and for being a guest on the show. I very much enjoyed the very free flow type of conversation that we had.
Me too. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And for those who listen, see you next week. Bye. That's all from today's episode. Thank you so much for watching or listening. If you find this episode valuable, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel or to the Polyweb podcast on Spotify, Apple, or your favorite podcast app. It will be fantastic if you could leave us a rating, a review, or a comment, as this really helps other listeners find the show. All the resources mentioned in this episode will be linked in the description and in the show notes. See you on the next episode. And if you cannot wait until next week, you can watch this episode right here that relates to some of the things that we talk about in this episode. Bye.